Okay, this is my third video of addressing racism, and it's probably going to be the longest video. So if you made it through the 15-minute one and the 12-minute one, thank you for hanging on into this one here, which I have no idea how long this is going to be. But I left off saying that racism is mostly a big problem in America. And it is, for the most part, because in other countries, most of everybody in those countries are native to that country. In America, on the other hand, we got some really, really deep issues here. When I went to Canada, the very first time I went to Canada was in 2000 something. I think it's like 3 or 4. I don't remember. I went with the wheelchair basketball team. Not one time was I called a half-breed. Not one time was I called a mutt. Not one time did I ever hear the word nigger or chief or hey, half-breed, come out. I went to a Korean store. I was treated like I was a Korean. A decent Korean. They even gave me a discount and free stuff, even though I had money to pay for it. They gave me a moose that goes on top of a pencil. They gave me a stuffed moose. I have no idea what it is, but they gave me stuff, you know. And every time I've been to Canada, sorry, there's a squirrel in the garden. Every time I've been to Canada, I've always been treated basically like I was Canadian, even though I'm an American clearly, you know, but they probably also thought that I was probably one of the people of the First Nations, because a lot of places in Canada, if you're a member of the First Nations, you get a little bit more respect, because just like America, Canada was built on fucking over the First Nations. So, you know, I bumped into a lot of Asians there, and they're like, you know, okay, so what's your ethnicity? And I'm like, oh, what country am I from, or what is my racial ethnicity? It's like, we want to know what your race is. I said, oh, well, I'm part Cherokee Indian. I'm also part black, and I'm also part white. It's like, oh, so you're like from the First Nations here? I was like, no, 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 no. I'm part Cherokee from America. I was like, oh, okay. Welcome to our country. Nice to meet you. And when I mean Asian, I don't just mean like Native American Asians. I mean straight Koreans, Chinamen, Japanese, and people from India who are all making successful lives there. And most of the times, those are the places that I go eat with those Asian foods, because I trust Asian restaurants a hell of a lot more than I trust any other restaurant in the universe. Don't ask, long story. Well, anyway, so when I go to Canada, I don't have any racial issues from whites, from blacks, from Asians. Everyone's friendly, everyone's happy. There's no racism. But in my own country, oh God, there's so much racism from all of the people of every race. I have been a victim of this shit. I never ever thought for a New York minute that I would ever be a victim of Native American racism, because I know a Native American who's like the son of the chief or whatever. But this tribe was from a different place, and I was a victim of racism because I was in pure blood, and he let me know, you know, don't mess with this guy's daughter because you're not of the pure blood race. So, you know, you're not really one of us. Now, these guys weren't Cherokee. I don't know what tribe they were from. I know a guy who's Mohawk, but this guy, wherever he was from, he just straight hated my ass. Like you're not really one of us. You know, and wherever you are, I don't know where you are. I don't have any ill will to you, but that was some fucked up shit. Plus, you're in a wheelchair, so you should be ashamed of yourself. But anyway, with all due respect to that, before that, I only had racist issues from blacks and from whites. You know, and sadly, I will say it because I hate to say it, but no one likes the truth. Most of my racist has been reverse racism from black people. You know, and it's always, oh, you're not a real nigger, you're a half nigger. Hey, how's it going, chief? Because they know that shit pisses me off. But I've only had one incident from Native Americans, maybe 3 incidences from white people my entire lifetime that was racist, and one that wasn't so racist is more curiosity. But from black people, I've had a whole lot of reverse racism. So You live and you learn. And there's a reason for that, so let me get into that before it gets too deep or before y'all pass judgment and start saying that black people are all bad. No. The problem is everybody watches TV, and people like me don't get representation. They're getting a little bit more of it now, but as it was needed for when I was coming up, there was barely any of that. They had a couple of shows on Fox there. They had a black dude dating a white woman, and she had a white daughter, and he had a black son, and it was like the new version of the Brady Bunch where they merged the families, and it was pretty funny. I don't remember the name of the show. If you know it and you watched it on Fox with me between 89 and 92, I think, because it didn't stay on more than a season and a half. But I forgot what the doctor did, or I forgot what the dad did, rather. I think he was a doctor or a dentist, and I forgot what the mom did. But they both had very important jobs. They were just like the Huxtables, only the mom was white and the dad was black, the daughter was white, and the son was black. So it was a mixed family, and it came on Fox. It came on during the Al Bundy era, but it didn't last as long as Married with Children, you know. Same with, I can't think of the guy's name, but he was like the one-handed guy in one of the scary movies. He had a show on Fox where he was going to break ice with his head because he was doing karate. He was all in the gi. And when he did it the forward way, the ice didn't break, but it knocked him the fuck out. And then somehow or another he got trapped on the roof and he fell off and his head hit the ice and he broke the ice. So it was pretty funny. And the theme song was from, God, I can't think of the name of the band. That squirrel's totally distracting me. What is the name of the damn band? R.E.M. Stan was the name of the song, and it was the theme song for the show. So, and the guy was a comedian. He was like a redhead kid. His name was Chris something or another. But he fell through the thing and broke this ice with his head. So it was pretty funny. Fox has been a very good, important part of my life. But anyway, for racist stuff, you know, let's get serious now. I've given you so much of my life that I haven't really stayed on track. So for the next 7 minutes, because this is 7 minutes so far, for the next 7 minutes, let me break it down for you. You know, because in America, racism is not just a thing, it is the thing. It is the reason why when I was doing my live stream and I touched on Miss Hare and her passing, or should I say her murder, because this dumbass kid decided he wants to come all the way from Ohio or Tennessee or wherever the fuck it was and plow his Dodge Challengers through a crowd of people. Now, America is the only place where you can be hated for your race, hated for loving people of another race, hated for marrying into another race, hated for your culture because it seems like it's slightly racist, and anything regarding race is a problem. I don't want to hire this overqualified black guy because this underqualified white guy is the son of my brother and he needs a job. I don't want to hire this overly qualified Asian woman because my cousin is this black girl who doesn't know how to do her job, but she needs a job. Might not even be his cousin, but before he hires her, he'll hire her, and it's all due to him being black and she being black. Oh, don't worry, I was going to touch on this next. I don't want to hire this overly qualified white man because my Asian cousin Bob can't read or write, but he can wash dishes and he needs a job. This overly qualified white man ain't going to get this job because he's a white man. And me being an Asian man, I don't want to have a white man working for me because it's going to look like it's a form of white slavery. Stereotypes. These things happen all the time in America, and people don't get it, people don't see it, and people don't notice it. Well, here, let me put a spin on that. We have a Japanese restaurant. All the white people there speak Japanese. And they deliver the Japanese food from the Japan Express here in Charlottesville. Go figure, right? I'm going to tell you, the first time I discovered the Japanese restaurant, the first time I ordered food there, I ordered and went in. And when I went in, the Japanese guys was handing these young white cats food and speaking to them in Japanese. Hi! And that's what they would answer with. And they would go and get in their cars and roll out and go deliver the Japanese Express food. Then they would answer the phone and they would tell the order to the cook, who's Japanese, in Japanese, while they, pardon my expression if I may, use a white racist statement towards these white guys. They were Guaylo, or Gaijin if you're Japanese. And the Gaijin, or Guaylo, spoke perfect fucking Japanese to the Japanese. Order went out, they cooked it, gave it to the white guy. The white guy jumps in the car and drove off. And I was fucking stunned. I was like, whoa, that white dude speaks Japanese. He must have swallowed the fucking Rosetta Stone. I mean, he spoke that shit like he was born in fucking Japan. I didn't have a problem with it. I was just stunned because that's not something that I see every day. And they had 2 white drivers that spoke Japanese, like complete Japanese, like they were fucking Japanese, but they were white people. So like I said, racism is only a real problem in America. That caught me off guard. I mean, that completely caught me off guard. I was filming my first movie, and this young white lady spoke to me in complete Japanese because she thought I was half Japanese. I said, no. Let's not get it twisted. I am part Cherokee Indian. And she wanted to do these things, and I wasn't going to allow her to do it because, 1, it was an independent film, my first, and 2, I didn't want her to get hurt because I can't pay for no hospital bills if I'm not paying you, you know. And she spoke to me in complete Japanese and explained everything she said, and I was like, damn. But she was raised in Japan. Her parents was missionary, and they made her learn Japan because they had to live there for however long they were living there before they came back home. And she said when she came here, she had to adjust and adapt to the Western culture of life. And she basically knew English, but Japanese, which was her second language, became her primary language. So her English had to catch back up with her Japanese. If that doesn't make sense to you, I don't know where the girl is, but she was a white lady. She spoke perfect Japanese. And it's like, I wish I could get that skill level. And we have a CLC here. I just don't have any money to go to it, you know. So I can at least learn Chinese in case my career takes me to China, which I wish it would. So I posted up some stuff on my Instagram about the Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker doing 4 for Rush Hour 4. I guess the Rush Hour TV show probably isn't coming back. But, you know, I told them, get it done and I need a job. Anyway, moving on. Racism in America is where most of racism lies. You know, when you go to these other countries, they're natives of that country, and there are immigrants of that country who have little to no racism, except for maybe 3 or 4 years ago when I had read some stuff about Chinese in Africa and Africa in Chinese. Because they've been doing a lot of cross-trading with the 2 countries or whatever, and people have been marrying Chinese, and Chinese have been marrying Africa, so they don't have to get citizenship. It's a long clusterfuck of legality in that. So basically what it is African men will marry Chinese women, or Chinese men would marry African women so that they can put businesses in their countries, and vice versa with Chinese women marrying African men so that they can also have businesses there, and Africans marrying Chinese women so they can have businesses in Africa. It's a bunch of legality into it. I'm not qualified to tell you how that shit works. I just know that way there's like tax write-offs and other stuff. So in that small corner of the world, in that small time, there had been some racist shit. I have posted videos and discussed how certain Chinese restaurants wouldn't let blacks that were Africa live in Africa eat at the Chinese restaurants, and there were all kinds of fights and shit like that. But that has like trimmed down or whatever. However, in America, racism is like a moth to a flame. All you need is to strike that match, and all of a sudden, all the racists and non-racists protest, and what happened here happens. Now, and then let's not even get started into racism and alternative lifestyle with LGBT and all that, because that becomes a problem. Not only are you transgender, but you're a black person that's male going to female, so we're worried about you going in the bathrooms with our little girls, or You're a white male going to female. We're worried about you going into bathrooms with our little girls and our boys and all that stuff. It's just really bad. Racism is just bad in general. But in America, if you're American, whether you are black, white, Asian, or whatever other ethnicity you want to go by, these are the things that we face. And until we get our heads out of our asses and sit down and talk about it, it's never going to change. You can do the following things. All right. You can do some skin bleaching. You might catch up here with my true color. You can do some tanning. So here's how this works. Black people want to get lighter, and white people want to get darker. Y'all see the serious fuck up that's going on here, right? You know, because not too many black people I know go to tanning beds. Okay? A majority of white people that I've known and that I have met go to tanning beds. It's like, okay, what's the underlying tone here? You know, there are no bleaching beds, so you don't have like a ton of black people flocking to bleaching beds. Like, yeah, I'm gonna get lighter. I'm gonna get some of this melanin out of my skin. I'm gonna be light. I'm gonna pass as white. You know, you don't get that shit. Maybe in California, but for here in Virginia, we don't have any untanning beds. We don't have a bunch of black people flocking to these untanning beds. It's like, I want to be here. I want my whole body to be here. Let me rip off these clothes. I'm going to get in this untanning bed, and you guys are going to take the melanin out of my skin, and I'm going to be lighter. Reality check. That shit don't happen. Now, from the other spectrum, I know a lot of white chicks that don't like being pasty pale. Gonna put on those little goggles, and they're going to go jump in this tanning bed for about a half hour. They're going to bake both sides. They're going to come out a little bit darker. Now, suntans and tans only last so long, so some people go in there for 2 or 3 hours. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell are you doing? They claim God don't make mistakes, so if you're already perfect, why are you fucking with shit? Now, the key to that was the word God don't make mistakes. I believe in God, but I also believe that He's made quite a few mistakes, me being probably one of them. But, you know, I own it. You got very few Asians, unless they're basically raised in white neighborhoods or adopted and raised by white people, that go jump in tanning beds. Then again, you got some who just hang with everybody else and follow the crowd, so let's go get in the tanning beds. Here's my thing on tanning beds. If you do your research, they're just as dangerous as the sun, so, you know, you gotta take your precautions and shit. But why are you doing it? You know? And I'm going to touch on just a couple of more things. And comedian Paul Mooney can definitely confirm this shit, because he said it, and most people have said it. Everybody want to be black until the cops come. Then nobody wants to be black. Okay? So that's how that works. And he's done that in a couple of the Dave Chappelle things. But he's telling the truth, because everybody wants to be black until it's something bad. You know? For a long time, a lot of Japanese kids were getting dreadlocks and doing black things and stuff like that. And then some of them were doing white things. But none of them were doing full-on Asian things. Which is kind of one of those reverse fracked up things. But this is how the world works. A lot of people are not happy with the skin they're in. And then you have America. And America's great if you don't pull up the racism shit. When you hit American soil and you're from another country, everybody's all enthusiastic. Oh, where are you from? Washington. Oh, you Chinese. Excellent. Chinatown's that way. Think that shit won't happen and you'll be surprised. Because a lot of people who come to this country generally flock to communities of people that are their people. However, they get the culture shock of how different ABAs are to people who are fresh off the boat. Alright? Sometimes they're nice, and sometimes they're not. Let me correct that real quickly, because I know a lot of people who are going to watch this just heard me make a racist statement. ABA, American Born Asian. I did not want to go through the whole chart of Asians to put an AB in front of it. ABC, American-born Chinese. ABK, American-born Korean. ABJ, American-born Japanese. ABL, American-born Laos. ABP, American-born Filipino. I got a little confused with that because Filipino is spelled F, but the Philippines are spelled PH. All right. ABI, American-born Indonesian. ABM, American-born Malaysian. ABT, American-born Thailand or Taiwan. You know, the list goes on and on. ABM can also be American-born Mongolian. You feel why I just did ABA so it wouldn't seem as racist as I just made it? You know, and then let's go for blacks versus African American. All right, let me drop this Whoopi Goldberg style. You are not an African American unless you were born in Africa and migrated or immigrated to America when you become an African American citizen. Blacks in America are blacks. It is not a bad word. Do not call me African American. Do not call me Afro American. You know, I did have an afro when I was a kid, but it was a curly afro and it was hell to maintain that shit. My mom used to bowl over my head and cut that shit off. Anyway, when it comes to American-born white people, they're just white people. We call them Caucasian, you know, but when a European comes over from Italy or England or something, they are from across the pond. They're American-born English citizens, I guess. I don't know. But you see where I'm going, why racism is such a big fucking problem in America. White people don't know what to call black people because they're scared that no matter what they call black people, unless it's the word nigger, they're still gonna offend black people. Black people don't know what to call white people because we're afraid that if we call them anything other than Caucasian or white, that they're gonna think that we're calling them honkies. Now, the whole Asian spectrum is far beyond that because we're afraid that we're, one, gonna get their cultural continent mixed up. We might call someone Chinese Japanese and they're going to be offended. We might call someone Korean Chinese and they're going to be offended. We're going to call somebody Filipino Chinese and they're going to get offended because they're not from China at all. Same thing with all the other Asian nations. And Asians are probably the biggest victim of what's up Jap, what's up Chink, what's up Gook, what's up Spick. And yes, Spicks are also used as Mexican insults as well, but it's also used as Asian insults for those who don't know. So you see, none of us are really trying to address this shit. We just accept it and turn the other cheek. I was once told that Africans didn't like black people and didn't want us coming over there. And I was told this by an African exchange student in high school. I didn't really take it like talking about it, but what he said was, and I quote, "Mr. Williams, if you go to Africa, they're going to kill you when you get off the plane because you're mixed. Not just because you're black, but because you're mixed. You don't look like us." Yeah, this guy had as much curly hair in his hair as I had in mine. But he was fully from Africa. Doesn't mean he wasn't mixed, but he was from Africa. So he straight told me, Africans don't like mixed people. Now, I don't know if he was ever threatened because of his curly hair, but he pretty much told me that if I come to Africa, I'm going to die. So check Africa off of my bucket list because I don't want to go somewhere where as soon as I get off the plane, I'm going to die. Plus, the only thing in Africa I ever really wanted to see was the pyramids in Egypt. Go figure. But since I've already been told that I'm going to die if I come to Africa, well, guess who's not coming to Africa? This guy. Anyway, I've met an equal amount of Africans who like black people and who don't like black people. The three that I met that like black people, I met one in high school and two in college. The three that I met that don't like black people, same places. One in high school and two in college. And I wasn't even a student at that college. So I met maybe 3 in college that actually did like me, because one's in my movie. Lewis, thank you. Tubu, Lewis, Yoko, and Amariah. Those are the 4 black African people. Excuse me. They are African. They are not black. They are straight from Africa. Do not call them black. That's offensive. Those 4 Africans told me that the African in high school wasn't 1,000% right. However, Tubu, Yoko, Lewis, and Amariah didn't meet the 2 Africans in college and the one in high school that told me, we don't like black people. We are better than you. And we don't want you coming back to Africa. Now, 2 of those people worked in the DML. I will leave their names off because it kind of was like fucked up. Tubu also worked in the DML, and Yoko worked with me at the restaurant. Yoko's cool as shit. He has a Japanese last name because his parents were fans of Yoko Ono and her late husband, the Beatle. That's not here or there. When I was taking and making movies at the university, the 2 Africans that didn't like me, they had no qualms about telling me that shit. No, we're only helping you because we're doing this as a favor to Bruce. But personally, we don't like you. We don't like blacks in general. We will do everything we can to avoid working with blacks, which is why I'm leaving their names off, because I don't want to ruin their possible prospects of careers or whatever because of their racism. If you're going to be racist, don't worry. It will come back to bite you in the ass later. This is why I'm leaving their names out. But the ones I named, they're like the coolest Africans on the fucking planet. Anybody does anything to them, I'll put an arrow through your chest. That's a fact. So anyway, these 2 specifically straight told me, one's a girl, one's a guy. They both pretty much had the same hairdo, dreadlocks. They both were like, you know what? We don't really like half-breeds, but we really don't like blacks, period. I'm like, but you guys are black. We're not black, we're African. And they let me know that shit. Like I said, this is only a problem in America. Now, while that was going on, I'm still traveling back and forth to Canada. I'm one of those people who can't blame every African for the actions of 2. Like in America, where everyone else blames everybody black for the actions of whatever black person did, whatever the fuck it was at that time. And that's all over America. That's also a fact. So I get to going to Canada, and we're with the Jamaican wheelchair basketball team and the Trinidad wheelchair basketball team. And no one's behold, when they told me the Africans didn't like them either, it really sank in. Because I never would believe that they wouldn't like people from Jamaica or people from Trinidad or from Fiji until these guys told me that shit. But here in America, racism is like that one pot that just constantly festers and festers and festers and festers. And I'm going to have to make a 4th video because we're at the 20-minute, well, almost at the 30-minute mark. So I'll make the last video.